I went into this bare bones. I did not read comics growing up. I grabbed a bunch of scripts offline, read those, and literally started writing on a Monday. Is she here because she wants to help me be successful? Or does she want this mountain of milk chocolate of a man? What is it that you want? I had young people that would start saying, I'm coming to class just to hear what you got to say, Dr. Washington. And I'm like, all right, we're doing our job. Mm-hmm. We're doing our job.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Miabelle. We're back with another episode of BET Talks, and it is my pleasure to introduce veteran, thank you for your service, of course, entrepreneur, family man, author, and my favorite, the defender when it comes to us black folk, okay? Black Defender, The Awakening. Hello, Dr. David Washington. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for the introduction.
Of course.
I feel at home. I'm telling y'all really make me feel good.
You really are home, for real. This is BET.
This is it.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be here with you, Mia. Thank you so much.
Of course. Now, look, we want to know all about you and what you know when it comes to comic books, okay? So we're gonna play a little game.
Yes, ma'am.
This or that.
This or that.
And I want you to elaborate on whichever one that you pick, this or that, okay? So, comic books versus graphic novel.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with graphic novels.
And why?
Because I like being able to see the entire story in one setting.
Okay.
Right. So that way you can sit down with it. If you got a couple hours to yourself, you can get through the entire story and get everything covered in a one-shot engagement. Because of my schedule, I'm very busy. So sometimes doing a series of books doesn't fit my lifestyle. But sitting down with a graphic novel, love it.
For those who don't know, can you tell us what the difference is between the comic book too?
Absolutely. So the comic book comes in, and the comic book is essentially like 24 pages.
Right.
And it's done over a series. So that series could go as long as a year or half a year. And then the graphic novel, in some cases, referred to as a one-shot, meaning that it covers everything that's going on in one singular book. And that one book contains the entire story. So you don't have to wait until next month to go pick up the next series to find out what happens next.
Right.
It's all right there in front of you.
That's why this one's pretty hefty, huh?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Jim Kelly versus Ron Van Cleef.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Come
pick
on
one.
now. Oh, that's a hard one. Because, you got the Black Dragon. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to have to go with the Black Dragon.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go with the Black Dragon, Ron Van Cleef. Jim Kelly, great martial artist.
Yes.
Yeah, great martial artist. Ron Van Cleef, exceptional martial artist. And there's another little thing, right? Ron was in the military. He was a Marine. So I got to give it to my brothers in arms. So we got to go with Ron Van Cleef on that one.
Of course. And for the last one, Black Defender versus Life is a Choice.
Oh, why you going to put me up against? That's like...
Yeah. You versus you, basically.
Different ones for different folks.
Okay.
All right. So Life is a Choice was a book I wrote many years ago. And that was about self-empowerment.
Right.
Making the decisions to help get yourself moving forward. Black Defender is a book that was written for the purposes of being able to tell our story and narrative. And so since they're sitting in different camps, one is sitting in the fiction world, one's sitting in the nonfiction world, it's like your kids, you can't choose your favorite one. So.
I know.
But for the moment of the time, we're going to go with Black Defender.
Of course. Black Defender. Yes. Now, this is the graphic novel that you felt was necessary. Why?
A couple things. My kids. So one of the things that really drove me behind even starting on this whole process is that my children were not able to see themselves in their heroes.
Right.
I have a heartbreaking story that kind of started some of this off. It was with my youngest son.
Okay.
So my youngest son... Please
don't make me cry up in here. Go ahead.
I got hankies. So my youngest son, he loved this TV show, right? And he was just infatuated with the TV show. And he was little when he was going along with it. And what ended up happening, like, he would binge watch the TV show. That would always be, if that show was on, he was in front, he was watching.
Right.
And the main character of the story was this kid that did martial arts and was kind of running about. One day, my wife comes to me and says, hey, something's going on with Sean. And so he was crying. He was kind of inconsolable. And essentially he said to my wife, he's like, hey, I want to be white. And we started to inquire. We're like, what do you mean? What's going on? And he explained. He said, my hero on the show is white.
Yeah.
And nobody looks like me on that show. As a father, there's like a call to arms. There's like a thing that you will do for your children, and as a father, I just couldn't let that stand.
Right.
First, yes, of course, I explained to him, son, you can do whatever you want to do. Don't let these things be a limitation. But truly, when you look up, where is his representation? Now, he was a little child when this came along. And to be honest, I hate to get a little academic, but here it is. Like the Clark study that helped to bring in the concept of the desegregation of schools was based around the doll exercise. Now, the doll exercise is happening in my house in real time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sir. No, ma'am. No, we're not finna have that. So what we do is I start saying, we're going to start working on this. We're going to start putting some muscle to this hustle and get this fixed. Because at the end of the day, every child should see themselves in their heroes. And that was one of the driving forces. So that pushed me down this pipe because, I got to be completely honest.
Okay.
I'm not a comic book reader.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Didn't read them before I got into this. But one of the things that drove me on this was they needed to see themselves. Yeah. And Dad is going to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did. I stepped into it.
Yeah, you did. And even going through your history, I mean, well accomplished black man.
Well, thank you.
Okay? Degrees on degrees, doctor. And just knowing your background too, even in the military, it's like you've experienced so many different walks of life that you can now incorporate in Black Defender, The Awakening, and show us how many ways that, Black people can have defenders, protectors, and superheroes who are here for us.
Absolutely. When I was coming along, there were not as many representations of what we could be. It was just not put out there that way. Right. So for me, what I said is, I'm going to push my life to the max in being able to make the next things happen, because I believed in my heart of hearts that if I gave everything that I had to what I was doing, I would be successful. Right. I think sometimes this is unfortunate, particularly when we make it and we achieve. People don't tell the whole story. Right. They just pick up when holding the trophy, made the win, got everything great. That's not where you started. And I think we do a disservice to the next generation when we don't tell them about the struggle, because the struggle is real. When I started out in Mobile, Alabama. I started out in complete and utter poverty, single mom home, all those things that you can imagine would be the things that would prevent someone from being able to achieve. Right. And I just got it in my heart of hearts, my mind of minds, that I will not die here, that I'm going to do something, I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to sacrifice, give everything I got to this, because it's out there for the taking. Why can't I be those things? Right. Why can't I do those things? But the thing is, a lot of times we don't see examples of that in our community. So you have to really imagine what it could be like to be on the other side. And that's what drove me. Right. So when I got into the military, my big thing there was like, hey, I'm here in this military. I'm working right now doing this, defending the country. What I'm going to do while I'm here, let's get some learning done. Right. Let's develop ourselves. This is a great opportunity. One of the things I say to young people all the time, don't walk out of a situation weaker than when you walked in. You walking into the military, you have nothing right now. You don't have an education. You don't have anything. You've not accomplished anything. You have nothing. So let's leave the situation stronger than when we went into it. So I said, I got it in my mind, hey, we're going to get that college education. We're going to get that done. Right. Because I look back at my people, everyone in my background, no one had made it that far. And that was why their life had been constrained so greatly. A lot of times, young people don't understand, like, why would we get an education? You don't need an education to do most things. I got you.
Especially Black men, though. I actually heard a statistic about Black men being less inclined to seek higher education in comparison to Black women, of course. Yeah. And trying to figure out why. And I think that the need for survival, the need for funds, that money to take care of the family and to take care of themselves because of all the conditioning that we've experienced as Black people. You guys as Black men too. Yeah. What is your take on that?
It's really about the issue of short-sightedness.
Right.
We're not showing the other side. We're not showing them that this is an investment. Right now, everybody's about instant. Right. The problem with that instant thinking, that's not strategic. That's not long-term or sustainable. So yes, today you got a bag and it's nice and hefty.
Come on.
Right. But tomorrow you could be sitting in a 3x5, 8x5 down at the county, right? Because of that hefty bag. You get an education, and education doesn't guarantee you an outcome, but what it does for you is it opens the window for mobility to get to different places, and that was the thing I understood. Right. And so one of the things I started saying was, let me put this together and figure out how we can move from one place to the next. And I found that education is the key to upward mobility. Yeah. And one of the things most people don't understand, if people have malintent for you, if they are discriminatory for you, that's the first thing they can attack. Yeah. Because they can just say, hey, Mia, we appreciate you for coming out this morning, but look, you're not qualified.
Right.
Bye. And what you gonna say?
There's nothing you can say about it. That brings me to the different variations of Black people that we see throughout the graphic novel.
Yes.
Black Defender. We have, of course, superhero. We have villains as well, who are amongst us. This is a Black graphic novel, and I think it's really important that you show us who we can be in all ways. Can you walk us through some of the, of course, important characters that you highlight and give different nuances to?
So one is Chris Withers, Dr. Chris Withers.
Yes.
Okay, so I get this a lot. Is that you? About 70% of that is me.
Come on, doctor. Of course we know it was you.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about, Chris has gone through the same type of struggle that I've gone through. And one of the things that we can do is that we can highlight as an example that you can overcome these things.
Right.
And one of the things I love is when I go talk to young people about the book, because I can talk to them that, no, I actually did that. That actually happened.
Right.
Right. That actually went down. That was one thing I wanted to make sure that we put that in the book, because one of the things in being in my military career, which was awesome, I was around people who worked in special operations, right? And some of these individuals look like me, right? One of my dearest friends to this day was in special operations.
Wow.
And one of the things about it is that's a Black man jumping out of airplanes, doing the Ruck March, all of that. The one thing I just was so disappointed in is our narrative in heroism is really weak. We didn't get a chance to really talk on that. So I said, oh no, we're gonna do that here. We're gonna go ahead and get that all out there. And then we have his wife.
Yes, we have Black love.
We have Black love. We have Black love.
And melanated too. Ain't no racial ambiguity in this book. None of it.
That was intentional.
Okay, come on.
So the reason I put that out is if you listen to some people in the media space, it's very demeaning to sisters.
Yes.
Demeaning to Black love. And one of the things that I did not want to do was to be another one that echoed that foolishness.
Right.
Because to me, it's straight up foolishness. At the end of the day, it's the person you're dealing with. If the person you're dealing with got bad communication skills, that's that person. Let's not put that on the entire Black woman. Right. And so one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to show and share and showcase this quality of love. Because here's the thing, that's what draws the story in and makes it real. When you see somebody that loves, that you see someone that's in love.
Yeah.
And it also is what makes it hit harder when some things happen in that book is because of the fact that you see that genuine care and love. And I'm like, I know couples who have had that type of love, and it's a wonderful thing to see. So why don't we talk about those positive things in our community? Does everything have to go to that dysfunctional position? I don't think so. And so I wanted to showcase that love. I wanted to showcase that sharing, that caring, and put those things in place. And I thought that would be appropriate. I also wanted to show Black support.
Yes.
In partnership. So you see, again, Dr. Alicia, another doctor.
Yes.
Dr. Alicia.
All the doctors. Education.
Yeah, all the people got education. But she comes in, and you see her partner with Chris to try to go out and do the right thing to protect their community.
Right.
Those are sisters I know, right? Those are sisters that have been in my life, that have shown up and shown out, right? Well, why can't we talk about that?
Right.
We got plenty of drama. As you can read, we have some drama that's happening in the book. But at the end of the day, why don't we have positive portrayals of our life? Everything is not dysfunctional. Everything is not always a fight between a Black man and a Black woman. There are situations where we work in partnership with one another. And then if everyone is a true partner with one another, we can both win. We can all win. Why not?
Let's talk about the villains in the book too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got Branson. He's a police officer that's in the book.
A bad cop.
A bad cop. Yeah. And some people, like Branson, he's an interesting one. He's straight up about, let me get this money.
Right.
He don't care. Social issue. Hey, look, let me just get this money. Okay. And that's all he's really focused on. And what ends up happening is, as he comes into this position of get money, he doesn't care who he hurts to get that money.
Right.
In his mind, he's actually made a psychology of why he's doing these things and why it's appropriate for him to do these things. And the basis of it is that as a police officer, he's being tried and convicted in the public court on a daily basis. So he's like, why don't I just go ahead and get mine, right? And the danger in that is we don't need those type of people in play in uniform. And I did make a little bit of a commentary point here to point out that not all police officers are bad. When people hear me, sometimes they be like, Dr. Washington, you must hate police officers. No, I am pro-police, watch this, but I'm also pro-civil rights. Right? The fallacy that has been permeated, the logical fallacy of the black or white fallacy, is the fact that if you're that, you can't be this. No. I'm pro-police, right? If a police officer is eating in a restaurant with me, I pick up their bill. Do you know why? They have a hard job. But at the same token, I want that same officer to be held accountable, because here's the thing. he or she has the power of life and death around their hip.
Right.
And in an instant, they can execute that power in the name of the people.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's where I say, okay, wait, we need to make sure that we have a fair and balanced approach. I believe in supporting the police, but I also believe in accountability. You cannot have one without the other. You can't have responsibility without accountability.
Yeah.
That ain't how that works. If you get the responsibility to protect, you have to be accountable to those whom you claim you are protecting, or those to whom we speak in the name of. Because again, we have given you our power as the people to say, protect us, serve us, assist us.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be accountable for that.
You also explore the idea of privilege.
Yes.
In this novel.
Yes.
What does privilege mean to you?
All right. I actually had to go a little professor on this one, so here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so privilege is...
you
privilege.
break it down pretty simply,
Yeah,
too.
I do. Because here's the thing. Privilege is a situation by which people don't recognize that they have an opportunity or access to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you miss that because of the simple fact that you're in it all the time.
Right.
So here's a great way to look at it. Years ago, I was actually, and this is real life, years ago I was doing a pilot study, and I was examining Black women in entrepreneurial roles.
Okay.
Again, I see how I live in. I want to see how the other half is going.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a research in there, and I asked about mentoring among Black women. I said, hey, real talk, what is it like for you to be mentored? And then one of the first questions was, have you ever had a male mentor? And how did that relationship start? And almost to the woman, they said, I had to first figure out why he was there. I said, huh?
Absolutely. I mean,
Let us
I'm
dig
not
more.
surprised.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
let's get that tea real quick.
Yeah.
Talk to me on this one. So she said, so they would say, I had to check, why was he there?
Mm-hmm.
Was he there because he wanted to help me be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Or was he there because he wanted to make sexual advances toward me?
Yeah.
Why is this man standing in front of me right now?
What does he want from me?
What does he want from me?
Mm-hmm.
And as a man, it instantly lined up for me. It was privilege. As a man, let's play Never Have I Ever. Never have I ever, and I've had female mentors, never have I ever, not ever once, wondered to myself, why is she here? Is she here because she wants to help me be successful? Or does she want this mountain of milk chocolate of a man? What is it that you want? What you want? Oh, you can laugh at that. What do you want? So I never thought that to myself.
Right.
I never had to think that. And then another thing I never had to think, what time do I meet her?
Right.
Do I need to go before the sun goes down?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to make sure that I park close to the building?
Mm-hmm.
These are thoughts I have never thought.
And these are thoughts that Black women have to think about constantly. What time are we sending the message?
Yep.
What are we saying? What is the context here?
Yep.
What does this mean? Is eye contact for too long too much?
That's privilege.
Right.
The fact that I never had to waste any psychic energy on it, that's privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to define privilege as this. Privilege is sometimes being removed or being included into a process.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, by sometimes immutable characteristics such as race, gender, national origin, sexual orientation, or disability status.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is sometimes we get brought into things, or sometimes we get to pull away from things because of the fact that we have privilege in things.
Right.
And that's just really what it is. And so when I looked at it, I said, let me go ahead and drop a little bit of this knowledge in this book so that people can get some of this. Because again, one of the things we want to do is, I not only wanted to get the representation, but I want to do a little bit of education. Because the singular fact is, this is a chance that you've got people's attention. Please tell them something while you got them. So that way people can get a little bit better understanding. Because when you understand what your neighbor is going through, you start to recognize. I had a white gentleman. He called me up. He said, Dr. Washington, this is the first time I understood privilege. Best definition of privilege.
About time, please.
Now think about this. If this book had not been written, that would have never happened.
Right.
That moment would have not occurred.
Yeah.
So when I get those types of responses, I'm like, all right, we getting the message across. People are catching up what we're talking about.
Yeah, and in all facets too, because people who are not reading the textbook definition of things need to find it in something like a graphic novel.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I look at it as, I used to do this in the university when I would teach there. I used to do something called 3E, engage, educate, and entertain.
Okay.
And the reason why I did it that way was because you got to pull a person in. Sometimes I would teach like an intro course that, quite frankly, most people are not interested in being there.
Yes,
Like,
because you were a dean.
I was an assistant dean of undergraduate programs.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then I was also a professor at North Carolina State University, go back. And so when I was there, one of the things is I taught a required course that was a part of the degree. So in order for you to get to your degree in our school, you had to come through my class. And some people had no interest in what we were talking about. Like, they were like, I'm just here because I have to be here, right? And one of the things I had to do to get them in is I had to engage them on a personal level.
Of course.
Draw them in, educate them, and then put it in a way where it would be entertaining. After a period of time, I had an 8 a.m. auditorium lecture class, right? I had young people that would start saying, I'm coming to class just to hear what you got to say, Dr. Washington.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, we're doing our job. We're doing our job.
Of course. Yeah. People need that aspect in order to pay attention to and for it to be relatable.
Oh, yeah.
I think you give us so many relatable moments in this graphic novel, especially learning about your connection to Billy Blanks.
Yes.
Tybo. Oh, we got the VHSs in my family's home in the basement.
Let me tell you, Billy Blanks, so generous to lend his name to this project, to be a part of this. I reached out to him and his crew and his camp, and man, just overwhelmingly very supportive people.
Right.
And they came back very engaged with this. And this is one of the things. Billy is a well-accomplished action film star.
Yeah.
I watched all of his films growing up as a kid because he was that representation.
Right.
And one of the things as I watch Billy's movies, imagining if I could go back to talk to myself like, hey, look, kid, you know that guy you're watching right now? One day he's going to be co-signed on your book. So just keep doing what you're doing. You'll eventually meet him. It was wonderful. And I can't thank him enough for taking the time and being a part of this, because Mr. Blanks stepped up when no one else would.
Yeah.
He stepped in, and it was on time. It really was a God timing kind of thing, and he came on through with it. So I can't say enough nice things about him.
Yeah.
I thank God for him. He's a treasure that I wish more people would understand about his contribution to this space, because when it comes to action heroes, you wouldn't have the action heroes that we have today if it wasn't for a brother like Billy Blanks, because he literally kicked in the front door.
Yeah. Right. Now, we know he was a Black defender to you when you were coming up. Now, who would you say are Black defenders of our time now? Who is holding it down for us?
Absolutely. Benjamin Crumb.
Okay.
Right. He is defending all the time. And he's taking on all comers. He's doing the fights that he needs to do. And I'm impressed with the work that he has done, his body of work and his engagement. Because without people like him standing up for us in the courtrooms and making those arguments
Absolutely.
For us, some of these stories that we know by heart would have never made it to the levels that they made it to in order for us to get to that consciousness level.
He's the reason why we're still saying the names of Breonna Taylor and all of those who have fallen victim to police brutality and murders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because of his work. So I hold him up in a very high light because of the work that he is doing and the way he continues to keep moving forward. On the entertainment side of the house, a young brother who is moving it and making it happen. And can't wait to see the next film that he's about to come out with, Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, we talked about this.
Yes. The work he is doing, the things that he's doing, the way that he's doing his storytelling, the characters he's bringing to screen, he's giving that next generation of young people an opportunity to see Black male heroism in a good and positive light. We can't go without our latest Captain America, right? Anthony Mack, we can't let him go without his roses.
Of course.
We thank God for him as well, because again, for me, a lot of times being able to see those reflections, those positive reflections in our light, those things are just absolutely wonderful for our culture. And we need more of that. When I look at those things, I wish these men had been around in younger generations, because maybe things could have changed and gone in a different direction if someone like them were standing in the moment at that time.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw another one at you. Who's defending Black women?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So there are so many sisters. I'm trying to think of if I could just pull out just a few of them.
Yeah, there are
VP.
So many.
Let's go over our VP.
Okay,
VP
come
Harris.
on, Kamala Harris.
She's always going to be vice president to me. I'm sorry. She's doing that. When I look at her and look at the way in which she's moved forward in her life and the way in which she is showing young Black girls anything is possible.
Right.
Anything is possible. And so when you look at her life, look at her walk, look at what she's done, it's amazing. I just don't see why people didn't want to go ahead and vote for this woman because I would much prefer where she's going with things because of her thinking, her leadership, and her engagement.
Right.
She knows what she's doing. She's confident. I value competence, right? I value competence. Another woman who's bringing it forward is Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
She's
Absolutely.
doing awesome work. She's bringing it in. See, this is one of the things. There used to be a time when you would tell people, when I was growing up, they would say, like you see somebody get elected to office, see somebody getting, be like them because they were good, solid role models.
Right.
Today, I wouldn't tell my kids that. I wouldn't give that advice out unsolicitedly. I have to be like, no, there's certain people we have to look at, because again, the fact of the matter is these individuals embody values.
Yeah.
Right? They embody competency. why not? Why not follow these folks? These are the people that are really defending us.
Absolutely. Now, with Black Defender, The Awakening, this is self-published.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to talk about your indie journey and your big indie accomplishment, NAACP Image Award for graphic novels.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So when I went into this, again, this is what a dad's love will do. I went into this bare bones. Again, I did not read comics growing up. I got this idea in my head. I said, you know what we can do? I can write this graphic novel, and that'll be the first step moving that representation needle forward.
Okay.
Because there's some more steps after this. And so one of the things I said to myself, let me focus in on this. Let me go ahead and give this everything I've got. I went into a discount store, bought a bunch of comic books, read them over the weekend, grabbed a bunch of scripts offline, read those, and literally started writing on a Monday and started just banging out those sheets. And so it took me about 3 months to get through the entire process, get it in place. Now let's use some of these degrees, this MBA, let's put some of that skill set together. So I said, hey, let's run it like a business project. Let's run it let's just run it just like any other business project that we would be involved in. So I applied the same business process and principles to this thing. And this is one of the things I want to give to the viewers, and this is real talk. Principles inform practice. Please understand this. If you understand some principles, the principles about things and how they operate, you'll be fine in whatever practice you get dropped into. Right. But a lot of people don't have the understanding about the principles. I understand the principles of economics. I understand the principles of project management. So what I said is, all I have to do now is just figure out the vernacular over here in this area and then just apply it to the process. And that's what happened. So I literally ran it like a business project, getting everything in place, interviewing artists. When we did character design, I literally went through and said, okay, I understand what causes bottlenecking in a process. So I'm going to be very descriptive when I talk to the artists. I'm going to give them artist packets to make sure that the characters hit the right way. I wrote up a psychological profile for each one of them. Again, I'm putting all these degrees to work. We're going to work all this in.
Of what they would look like specifically, too.
What they would look like, mentally be like, everything. So that way we can make this work. And so I went through, wrote psychological profiles for them, wrote physical packet profiles for them, turned that over to the artists, let those things get moving forward. And then 11 months later, we had the graphic novel. Right. And that was really a process of getting that in place. Then the big thing was, hey, now that you got this, where are you going to take this and what are you going to do with it? And so I said, if you want to test metal, if you want to see if it's any good, take it out and compete it. Because that'll let you know where you stand on this, right? You cannot be scared of competition. You cannot be scared to say, I'm gonna put my work out. Okay, so I'm gonna go from Erykah Badu, another person I love. Erykah she says it right. I'm an artist, I'm sensitive about myself. I get it. But here's the thing, as an unknown, you're going to have to show the system and the people around you that there's something there, and the only way that may come forward is through competition. And so I sent the book into competition. We went into and became finalists in the American Fiction Awards. We went and won the BIBA, the Best Indie Book Award. Come on. The Best Indie Book Award. Book Life gave us Graphic Novel of the Year. And then one of the crown jewels that just came out was we got the NAACP Image Award for graphic novels. And one of the key parts about it was we were the only Black indie to ever get the nomination for this. So that, again, you tested the metal. You've shown that there's something here. And so now with putting that out and getting those accomplishments in place, it allowed for the book to get even more gas. Because what ended up happening was it moved it forward. When we hit the Amazon bestsellers list, that was another thing. We were ranked at the number 17,000, and we made it down to the top 20 in the course of a day, right? And so that was the issue of going at it. But this is where a lot of times I explain to people, the art won't survive if the business is not right. And that's why you got to kind of couple the two together to make it so that it can be sustainable and that can grow. And that's one of the things that the book has been doing.
Thank God for all the degrees you got, because who would have known? You have the exact formula, and I think you should sell it in another book, because I'm going to buy it for sure.
You're so kind.
Yeah. Now, I know, of course, you want this to appeal to not only, young people, but to all, because it's impacting everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you say is the legacy that you want from this particular novel, too? Do you want to see it on the big screen? What do we want next for Black Defender?
So here's the thing. Big screen is next. It is next.
It is next. Come on.
It is next. October 2026, principal photography begins on this. This is where I had to talk with people about some of this real talk. Oh, you can clap for that. Clap for that.
Yeah, because we need the Black defender on the big screen. Because y'all not reading enough.
One of the things is that, and this is where I talk to people, and I kind of want to share this with the viewers. This is almost a message for them. This even will be controversial. Don't chase these dreams. Don't chase these dreams.
Really? Stop now?
Don't chase these dreams.
Tell me more.
All right.
Why?
A dream is the work of the imagination, right? When you go to sleep tonight, your subconscious will take over, and you will have vivid imagery in your mind. But when the alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m., all of that disappears. In your dreams, you can meet the man or woman of your dreams, right? You can be like, in your dreams, there he go. There you go.
I know exactly what he look like.
There you go. The alarm clock goes off. There you go.
Reality, right.
You're woken from a dream that was so good, you were mad, because you're like, oh, no. And then you're like, I gotta go back to sleep. Well, the thing about that is, the work of the imagination, the dream, is not something that's generally sustainable. What I say to people is this: don't dream, envision.
Oh.
Much different. They get confused sometimes because they share some commonalities. See, a vision is the work of the imagination. But watch the second part, supported by action.
Come on.
A lot of this is vision. What you see here today of what I've been able to create is vision. I've been following through a vision. I've been pursuing a vision, not a dream. Because see, dreams don't have deadlines. Dreams don't have things, suspense states that make them possible to become real. See, visions have all of those qualities. A dream will make you want to sleep longer. A vision will call you from your sleep because you're so excited about the thing that comes next, the thing that's about to be, you have to rise. A lot of times my wife one time, and by the way, let me take a moment here, Mia. I want to thank my lovely, gorgeous wife.
Oh, we love that. Clap harder for the wife.
For 27 years, my wife has followed me through these visions.
Come on.
27 years. And one of the things about it is, the reason that I move the way I move is because I know I have a vision that is calling me forward.
Right.
And that's what makes me get up and go after it every day. People are like, Doc, how you do it? How you make it happen? How many days? Wait, there ain't enough hours in the day. When you are on fire for a vision, when you got a vision that's calling you forward, you find ways to make that happen. You are there. My wife said one time when I passed the bar and we were having the bar dinner, and one of the things she was just explaining, she's like, you want to know what David's secret is? 3 a.m. My husband gets up and he goes and he makes it happen. And that's what you got to have. A dream won't sustain that kind of engagement.
Yeah.
A dream won't allow you to be able to get that deep into the game. I have a line I say to people that makes them raise an eyebrow. Only death will stop me. That's what you got to be on. Because if you're on anything less than that, this ain't coming. That vision is going to stay in the ether. If you are on only death will stop me, the vision will come up and it'll be like a person sitting next to you. Because your actions are going to guide it. You're going to plan. You're going to execute. You're not going to just say, someday I'm going to get to that. You're going to be like, Tuesday at 3 o'clock, this is going down.
Yeah.
Right? Because the simple fact of the matter is that vision is calling you. And sometimes your people won't understand. Sometimes folks around you, people who love you, they're going to say, I don't understand it. They're going to say, I can't see it. I can't see how you want to be on TV doing these interviews. I can't see how you want to do this at this place. They're not going to see it because y'all, please pay attention to what Doc is trying to tell you. The vision wasn't given to them.
Right.
The vision was given to you.
Come on.
And if the vision was given to you, you were the one who was the steward of that vision, and you got to bring that vision forward.
Yeah, you have to see it through.
You have to see it through. So what you got to tell your people, and this is a little bit of advice to keep your loved ones, because they're going to tell you it can't happen because they're scared for you, because they can't comprehend what you're talking about. It's too far-fetched for them. It's beyond what they even reasonably believe can be achieved. This is what you do. Thank you. I love you. And keep it moving.
Yep.
That's all you gotta do. That way you ain't gotta have great falling outs with people and everything else. Hey, thank you. I love you. And keep it moving. Because again, a vision is calling you right now. And so that's what's been on my heart. So that's why I say principal photography begins next year, because I know where we're going with this.
Right.
Because again, this was the plan. When you read this book, it reads like a shot list.
Yep.
The reason it was written with that in mind, because I knew one day this will be adopted into a film.
Absolutely.
That's what you gotta be.
And what's going to be the soundtrack to that film? I got to know what song was playing in your head as you were writing.
Oh my gosh. So I got tons of them, by the way.
Yeah?
So one of my personal favorites, I love
Let's
Jay-Z.
see.
I love
Okay,
Jay-Z.
because I was about to
love
get
Jay-Z.
judgy.
So I can't go with drug dealing, selling, but I understand the hustle.
Right.
Right? I understand the hustle. I
And the
understand
evolved version of him, too,
Yes.
also gives the same, you know?
Yeah. Again, a lot of those young brothers, they are speaking of that same thing, but they may not have the vernacular that I've been able to explain it with you.
Right.
Right. And so they're telling it through the lens that they can tell it through. Right. This is the lens they can tell that story through. This is the lens they can share that message with. But it has that same tempo. It has that same drive. It has that same fight. It has that same engagement.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those brothers come from places where I come from, where we know that it is either do or die. For years I used to say this. I'm working without a safety net.
Right.
Right. I can't go back to mama. I can't go to daddy. There's no one I can go to say, you got me on this. I have to make this happen or it's not going to happen. And so for years, I recognize, I can see in those brothers, I understand maybe they got the wrong grind, but they got about the right mind, which is they are focused on trying to make that next thing happen. The only thing I would encourage them, I would just hope that they would just do it in a more positive way.
Right.
So that way these young brothers don't get swept up in that ideal of saying, hey, this is the way it has to go. But at the end of the day, I can respect it because I know where you're coming from. You just went at it a different way.
Absolutely. Okay. We got reasonable doubt to the soundtrack of Black Defender, The Awakening. This brings me to ask you, who are some superheroes in your personal life that really brought you to this space to where you can talk about who is defending who and how?
I've said this before, I'll say it again because it's worth noting. My wife.
Oh, yes.
My wife. 27 years. My wife stood by me when I was going out to things I had no proof of success. You have to sometimes move when you have no proof of the outcome.
Right.
And so like when I was going to school, no proof of outcome, but I'm gone. My wife's there. I used to actually have to drive to other states to finish my education.
Wow.
And so I would get off work, go in the car, drive down to South Carolina and do school. My wife would tell a story about when she heard my key go back in the door, she knew I was safe. And she had prayed for me to make it back.
Of course.
And so one of the things I often say is one of my biggest heroes sitting in my life is my wife. Because she's been here with me through thick and thin. When the things was good, when the things are bad, she's there. See, all people get to see is this.
Yep.
They see the success. They don't see the 3 in the mornings. They don't see the toll it takes. They don't see the struggle. They don't see the grind. My wife, my kids, they see all of that. And one of the things is that they love me for it. It's almost like in Othello, when Othello was talking and they were asking, like, how did you make her fall in love with you? I just told her my story. And that was the thing that pulled her forward. And so one of the things is like with my wife, she's been here, she's been a front row viewer of the story. And she supported me on every single step of it. She's been there, confidant, cheerleader, counselor, the person who...
Consulting. Come on.
You know, and again, that's where when I tell people like love is a beautiful thing, it is truly a beautiful thing. When you have someone that you love and someone that loves you back and you know that that's the person, I can't wait that when we're 85, we're sitting there on the porch together. Right? I'm targeting for those days because right now at 27, I still have as much love for her as when I started out, even more now than then.
Yeah.
So that's my hero.
I know that's right. Come on, wifey.
That's my hero.
Superhero. Super shero.
That's right. That's right.
Now there's a quote in this book that you use as a mantra. I want you to say it to the viewers and let us know why it's so important.
Okay, where the camera at so I can tell it right.
Talk directly to that camera.
Durable, not indestructible. So that comes out of a line where Black Defender has to meet off with another superhero.
Right.
And that superhero is trying to block him from doing the things that he needs to do. And they get into a tussle. And by the end of the tussle, Black Defender has put this person on their back.
Okay.
And
whoop them.
Put the whoop on. Put the whoop, the extra one. And a line he says to him as he's standing there is like, hey, you're durable, you're not indestructible. In life, we sometimes face challenges that when on first appearance seem impossible, seem insurmountable. Folks, real talk, it's just durable.
Right.
It's not indestructible. Once you start getting to work on it, once you start putting work in on it, you start to recognize, oh, it's not as tough as it seems. Oh, it's maybe formidable. I'm not saying it's weak, but the thing is, at the end of the day, you're stronger than what it is. You bring more to the table than what it does. You have more in you than what it takes. You have everything in you to succeed and overcome that. Maybe you may be having an addiction that you're struggling through. Maybe you're struggling through a bad relationship. Maybe you're struggling through trying to make ends meet. Right now, it just seems impossible.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You're built for this. You're strong. It may be strong, but you're stronger. So it may be, in your eyes, very impossible to beat. But the truth of the matter is, it's durable. It's not indestructible.
Come on with it. Thank you so much, Dr. David Washington, for your brilliance and for putting action behind the vision, okay? We have it here in the flesh, Black Defender, The Awakening. I can't wait to see it on the big screen.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the meantime, y'all better buy this book some more because it's already a bestseller. It already got the NAACP Image Award. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
Yes.